All right, artists, today we are going to make a clay owl. So I have given you a ball of clay, and the very first thing that we need to do is we need to add texture. So you're going to take the piece of burlap that I set out at your tables, and I want you to put that ball of clay right in the middle. And I want you to push really hard as you can, to push that ball of clay into that burlap. And I want you to push, push, push. We want that burlap to add texture to our clay, and we don't want our clay to be very thick, so we're going to push, push, push as best as we can to flatten that ball of clay into our burlap. Now, let's take a peek and see how we did. We don't want it to be too thick, almost like a cookie. So if it's too thick, I want you to push, push, push just a little bit more so that it's thin enough like a cookie. Now what I want you to do is I want you to carefully peel that burlap from your clay, and you're going to see some texture. Remember that texture is the way that something feels. So now that we have texture on our clay, I want you to put the texture side down on your mat. So the texture side that we just made, we're going to put it down on our mat. And it's okay if some of it sticks to the mat. It's not a big deal. The next step is we need to take this circle and turn it into owl wings and a head. So the very first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take the right side of my clay, and I'm going to carefully try to bend the side of my clay up so it looks like a semicircle. And I'm going to do the same on the left side. So I'm carefully bending my clay up, carefully bending and pushing. So I have two semicircles, and this is what's going to be the owl's wings. So if your clay cracks a little bit, just dip your finger into the water and smooth it. But we want two wings on each side of our owl. Now that we have the wings on either side, we are going to carefully take the top half, and when we pull it down, at the same time that we pull it down, we want to pinch the corners up here, because these are going to be our owl ears. So we're pulling the top part down, and we are pinching the corners to make owl ears. So pinch and pull. Pinch and pull, and you'll have a shape that looks like the owl's head, and we can pinch those ears a little bit more if we need to, and we have two owl wing shapes. The next thing that we want to add to the head of our owl, we know that owls have really big eyes, so we're going to take a marker cap, and we are going to push that marker cap into the spots where we're adding the eyes. And we don't need to push too deep. A little bit of marker got on mine, and that's okay, it will burn out into the kiln. So you want two really big circles where your eyes go. And then we need to add a pupil. So I want you to take your stick, and I want you to find the center of your marker circle and push those holes right inside, and you will see that you have made owl eyes. Now that we have owl eyes, the next step is we want to just try to pinch this little area right here to make a beak. So I'm just pinching my clay, and when I pinch my clay, I end up getting a beak shape. And you can play around with it a little bit. If it doesn't turn out right the first time, it's okay. You just want to pinch that beak to make the owl beak. The last thing that we need to add to our owl babies, we want our wings to have some feathers. We already have some texture, but we want our wings to have some feathers. So we're going to use that marker cap again. And we don't want to push too deep, and we don't want to push too far. We want that circle to almost be a half circle. So I'm using my marker cap on an angle, and I'm pushing in some half circle shapes. I'm not pushing too deep. And when I push that marker cap in like a half circle, it looks like I am giving my owl wings some feathers. So not too deep, and just the half circle to give my owl wings some feathers. So now that you have followed along, you should have an owl baby. And remember, your owl does not have to look like mine, and your owl does not have to look like the person next to you, because we are all different and unique, and so should our artwork.